Cool. Nice.
All right. Alrighty, folks. It looks like some people are joining here. As always, we'll give any stragglers a couple minutes, and then we'll jump right into it. We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about tonight. If someone wants to do me a favor and throw in the Q&A just to make sure our microphones are working.
Yes,
If everyone
that would be
wants to
great.
say hello,
Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, great. Good. Bring it up close. Yep.
Awesome.
Okay. This sounds good. This sounds good. But yeah, if we can get confirmation in the chat. Oh, I see
Corinne, you want to
some.
make sure? Oh yeah, or Nate's
They
got
are
it here.
working. Great.
Beautiful. We love
Love it.
microphones. Leanne, do you want to say hello as well?
Oh,
Just to make sure.
hopefully you can hear me as well.
Yeah. I think if we can hear you, everyone else should be able to hear you. So we're probably good. All righty, wonderful. I think we can, go ahead. We can start with some introductions, unless there's anyone in the chat who can't hear us.
Yeah, the chat people are all happy. Yeah, they can hear everything, so we're good to go, I think.
Okay. I'll start.
Sure.
Most of y'all, if you've joined any of these webinars before, you probably know me. I'm Max. I am a chef and a registered dietitian. I run all the day-to-day operations here at the Teaching Kitchen, as well as the patient classes. I think I have some of my patients joining virtually tonight, so I appreciate y'all joining us. But we have way more people in here than we usually do behind this counter. So if they want to start by introducing themselves.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Hi, my name's Mongiu, and I'm a colorectal surgeon at Yale. And this project tonight with our wonderful guest from Brooklyn, Leanne Brown, is something that we dreamt of last fall. And we thought of how we can look at the food that we eat every day and find ways to improve our health and even try to prevent colon cancer through eating a better, healthy diet. And Leanne's here to help us do that on a budget, which, as we know today, with everything that's going on, is really, really important. So,
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Thank you all for joining us. My name is Michelle Hughes. I am a physician, a gastroenterologist at Yale New Haven Health. I have been working with Dr. Mongiu on our Loving Your Guts campaign, which is really where this Teaching Kitchen event came from. So we thank our hosts for allowing us to bring this content for Colon Cancer Awareness Month in March. So we're really trying to promote colon health and really address food and the importance of food and maintaining your health of your colon, as well as the ability to reduce your risk of colon cancers. So we thought it would be a really important month to bring this content, and I'm looking forward to learning some quick, easy, affordable meals, because being on the go, it is very hard to meal prep at the beginning of the week. And so I look forward to getting some tips and tricks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, the quicker, the faster, the easier, the better. So, and Michelle, thank you so much. They've done a lot of work in kind of putting this together. So we're super in their debt for getting this together. So thank you so much for being here and for doing all that. My name is Nate Wood. I'm the director of culinary medicine here at the kitchen. I'm board certified in internal medicine, obesity medicine, and lifestyle medicine. I also went to culinary school. So you can imagine I'm really passionate about kind of this connection between diet and health, and work really closely with Max. Specifically with our medical trainees and in doing research to kind of bring this knowledge to the next generation of physicians. As you can see, these ones know it's important and I feel it's important, but I think sometimes it's missed a lot in our medical education. So we're bringing that back. And then, of course, we're joined here by Leanne, who is kind of the star of the show here, wrote a really amazing cookbook that we're going to be cooking from. I'll let her introduce herself and tell us more about what's happening tonight.
Well, thanks so much, you guys. It's really, really fun to be here. I am Leanne. And I did write this little cookbook over here, Good and Cheap, which we'll be working from today. And it means actually so much to me to be here. It's so feels universe sent for me. My father about a year and a half ago died of colon cancer, and so this is a sort of cause, an issue, if we can call it that, that's really, really near and dear to my heart. And so I was so honored to have you guys reach out and to be able to contribute, because it's an important issue. I mean, I have it in my own family, and I know if my dad had realized that he had it sooner, he would have made a lot of different choices and probably extended his life quite a bit. And because of that, because of his experience, I found out that I, have a tendency towards colon cancer myself. And so I'm able to get screened and keep it at bay and make healthy choices that mean that it shouldn't really be an issue in my life. And I'm so, so, so grateful for that. And I just always want to sort of spread that information to everybody, because there's just no need really to get it these days. And yeah, and so it's an honor to have been asked for something that matters so much to me, and then to have the opportunity also to contribute what I have to offer here to you all. So I'm just feeling really, really grateful to be here and excited to get started.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and we're really happy. We're honored to have you here. So thank you so much. Great. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about the campaign that you're launching and in charge of here? I mean, this is really important for reasons that you're all hearing about why we should get screened and the importance of diet for preventing colon cancer.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, we are Dr. Mongiu and I have launched what we're naming "Loving Your Guts" campaign. So, this, as Anne pointed out, food is so important to our health, and over the last 9-12 months, we've started to delve into looking at access to good food. And we don't mean, good food in terms of it tastes good, but really how can it help us achieve health and maintain health? And, the colon is so susceptible to disease states. And particularly when we talk about colon cancer and your risk of colorectal cancer, we can make some simple substitutions in our diet to really help maintain and promote health. And not all of us have access to the foods that we could or should eat. And so part of this campaign is really looking at what are those disparities in terms of accessing food. And then the other part is really what can we do to address it? And, events like this where we can connect with the community and really help get some of this information out there that are simple, sort of cheap things, as Leanne's book so meaningfully can offer to people, is really using ingredients that are, all combined less than $4 per meal and can be whipped up in a few minutes with minimal items. And so for somebody who is on the go all the time, foods like that is so important, where you don't necessarily have to put a lot of thought into it, but it really can impact your health over time.
Beautiful.
Agree with all of that. We'll talk a little bit more about colon cancer screening at the end, and let's get cooking.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like a plan.
Awesome
Don't go
stuff.
too far. We'll have you back.
Yeah,
I'll be here for the tasting.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
all right. Nate, kick us off, please, with the delicious meal that you were making for us.
Great. Yeah. So as was mentioned, we're cooking all recipes from Good and Cheap. And so I'm going to start with a vegetable quiche hold the crust, which is kind of a cool recipe that we'll talk about for a few different reasons. So we're holding the crust, which, crushes for a quiche are usually going to be made with some white flour, a whole bunch of butter. Takes a long time to make. It's not the easiest thing to make. I'll say it's time consuming. The butter has to be a specific temperature and you have to make sure. Anyway, it's too much. So not to mention. What's that?
You cut out so much of the fuss when you get rid of the crust, and even though of course it's delicious, things can be worthwhile. It's just so nice to just get most of the nutrition out of it and skip a lot of the extra effort.
Totally agree. Yeah, skip the fuss. So we're going to zoom in. I'm going to show you how we're skipping the fuss here to my pan on the stove. So what we've done is we've taken some onions and we've put them in a little bit of olive oil and some butter. And then what happens is they get nice and crispy here in the pan. And so really I just cut them into half moons, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But then they end up really nice and crispy here. And then those are going to actually be our quote unquote crust. So I'm going to pop back over to my cutting board here and show you how I sliced up that onion real quick. So an onion, of course, likes to roll around, but we don't want it to roll around because it's really hard to cut that way. So you're going to cut off not the root end here, but the top end. And that's going to give us a nice flat surface to go from. So once you have your onion like that, make use of that flat surface. You're going to kind of come down through the onion, and then we're able to cut off the root end, and that will allow us to peel it really evenly. So the onion, we're going to cut into half moons, and the reason for that is, as you kind of saw in the pan, we want a lot of surface area from this onion to be contacting the pan, and then it gets nice and crispy and will allow us to make kind of a flat, even layer on the bottom of the pan, which is going to serve the purpose of being kind of that crust. So you see how I have the two halves of onion here, and now we're just going to cut them into half moons. So thin, but not too thin, because you want them to kind of still hold up some of their shape as they cook, but really thin enough that they can still get crispy. So you see me kind of using my hand as a claw here that stabilizes the onion without me being worried about anything bad happening to my fingertips, of course, and then just having a nice firm grip on the knife, pinching the blade of the knife in the right hand. I have my Eat More Fiber bracelet on for our.
I didn't put a bracelet on.
Max,
We all got our
Max
beautiful
didn't get
aprons
one
on here,
Yep. So we got lots of swag. So this is the onion here. And now we're going to take it back out to the full view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start getting these onions into the bottom of a pan. If you have like a cast iron skillet or a stainless steel pan, something that can go into the oven, you could actually just take these onions, cook them up on the stove, and then put the whole quiche without the crust in here. And then that can go in the oven.
I mean, we're truly talking about reducing fuss.
Right.
I mean, that is about as low fuss as you can be. A one-pan meal. We love a one-pot stovetop meal, right? We talk about it with pastas and rice dishes and everything, right? But a one-pot meal, especially again, if it can go right from the stovetop into the oven,
so easy.
It's way versatile.
Fewer dishes to do. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm talking about reducing the fuss as well, right? Of course, we love to harp on the great knife skills, right? Get everyone, really comfortable to it. Absolutely no reason, though, it would be a little bit more expensive, but no reason you couldn't buy pre-sliced onions.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Especially sometimes the ones you find in the grocery store, they're really nice. They got some nice thickness to it. It'd be great for kind of this crustless version that we're doing here. But the nice thing that we like to tell patients in these classes sometimes is that onions are cheap and have remained pretty consistently cheap. So it's a great opportunity to practice your knife skills, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should say, with these cooked for maybe 20 or so minutes here. I flipped them just one time, and they're almost like French fried onions. They're crispy and brown and delicious. But while I'm transferring these from the pan over to the pan that's going to go in the oven, actually, Michelle, if you want to come up here, I'm going to ask for a sous chef here.
Oh, fantastic.
I will tell you, I went to culinary school. I think I'm a pretty good cook. Not the best at cracking eggs. So we're going to let Michelle do that. I'll show you how I was taught, and we'll see if I can actually do it. You want to hit it with some gusto, right? You don't want to be ginger about it, and you don't want to do it on the side of a bowl because that causes those bits of eggshell to kind of come into the inside of the egg, and it can get stuck in the white part or it can crack the yolk, right? So you want to do it on a flat surface. So something like that.
Okay. Very confident. Hey. You undersold yourself.
Okay, there we go. I can do it if I have to, but she's going to take over now.
Fantastic.
And so I'm going to continue kind of just moving these to the side.
So that was a very good confident hit you had right there.
Yeah.
And we have a garbage can here. We can pull over to that.
We knew we could ask you. Yeah. Yep. So a quiche, what's nice about a quiche is, back when eggs were cheap, first of all, it was cheap. But you can hide a lot of veggies in this, right? And so it's kind of like whatever you have in your fridge, you can put into it. You can think about different flavor combinations. If you want to go super Italian, you could do kind of some maybe leeks and sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit of pesto. You could do some basil.
Leanne, what are some of your favorites to throw into this quiche, or just in general?
Broccoli, I love. I also just love to get random, if I have leftover roasted vegetables or something from another dish, I'll often just use that in something like this. The other thing I wanted to mention actually was frozen vegetables are kind of nice in here too sometimes, especially green beans or something like that. You guys were talking about the pre-chopped stuff. That can be nice to it's already sort of ready to go, and then it cooks up in the time and can be really, really, really simple.
It's actually funny that you mentioned
frozen vegetables. Thank you so much for that segue. So we are using your favorite broccoli, and it is frozen. So we bought this bag of broccoli. I don't know, it's probably $1 or $2. It's 5 cups of broccoli. I just microwaved it in this dish for 10 minutes with a little bit of water, drained off the excess water, and then this is what we're going to use for the quiche. So
why did we cook it first, right? Why didn't we just take the frozen broccoli, throw it in there raw?
Right. So if it's frozen, it's going to slow down the cooking process big time if you were just to throw it in frozen. Or if you had a really crunchy vegetable that really has to cook for a long time, you might want to cook that a little bit first before you throw it in. But yeah, for the frozen veggies, I would cook it off first just to get it a little soft, do most of the cooking already, and then it won't slow down the cooking process once you get the eggs on top. Yeah.
And sorry to interrupt. I love this little layer of things that you have going on here. Again,
Beautiful.
The onion on the bottom is going to make again, that nice simulation of a crust.
Exactly. Yep. So those onions are on the bottom there, which I layered, and then we cooked a whole bunch of broccoli on here. So a lot of delicious fiber. There's going to be some salt, some pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of pepper. There's 1 cup of milk. We're using fat-free.
I was gonna ask, what kind of milk are we using?
Yeah, we're using fat-free. You could use an unsweetened plant-based milk if you're lactose intolerant, or if that's what you prefer. And then we're using 1 cup of cheese. So I would say the cheese is going to provide a lot of flavor. And we're using 1 cup, and we're using a really, really sharp cheddar, because then you can get away with using less and really kind of packs in the punch. You see me whisking this with, of course, a whisk, but you could use a fork. So if you're not so good with a whisk, if you don't have one at home, I bet you have a fork, and that's all you need, right? So this doesn't need a crazy amount of whisking, but a light whisk here.
Yeah, I love worked with some chefs who are like never have a single use tool, right? So it's like if you do a lot of baking, that you probably have a nice whisk at home, but otherwise, yeah, a fork gets the job done. We have these nice kind of, I will admit, these very kind of nice glass mixing bowls, but you could whisk together your eggs in a mug if
Absolutely.
you needed to, right? You do not need the fancy equipment to make, this beautiful looking.
I've done this so many times late at night just to normalize.
Yeah,
love it.
The omelet made at night with a fork in a mug, just doing everything as fast as possible.
Well, that's true. I mean, think about it. We're doing 8 eggs. I mean, this makes quite a number of servings. This is definitely something you could make for a crowd. I think it would freeze or, and last in your fridge very well. But you could do a smaller portion of this, Leanne, right? And a little ramekin or something or whatever you have that's oven proof.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a breakfast food, to your point.
Yeah.
You see me tearing a little bit of parsley on here. We had some parsley in the fridge that, its life expectancy was maybe a day or so more. And we shocked it to life a little bit. And this is the perfect chance to use greens like that. And so a little bit of parsley going in.
Right. Spinach in your fridge. You have that bag in the back.
We know you do.
Everyone has that bag of greens in the fridge. So if we can use that up in something like this, where it kind of hides the sadness of the greens.
It's still good. It's still good. Yeah, especially when it's cooked. That texture kind of cooks down anyway. Yeah. So we're just going to zoom in here on my quiche. As you can see, it looks like a whole bunch of vegetables because that's what it is. And then this kind of mixture of the cheese and the eggs and the milk and the salt and the pepper, that's going to go on top. Feel free to go crazy with whatever seasonings you like.
Yeah.
As is written in the book, which I really liked, enjoy watching the egg kind of get into all these nooks and crannies. This is going to make a really nice, once it's done, it's going to be obviously solidified, and this cheese is going to be delicious and melty on top. And yeah, that looks great.
And it's going to rise a little bit, right? It's going to get some nice puff to it.
Yeah.
It's going to look lovely.
Okay, great. So this is going to go into a 400-degree oven. It takes roughly an hour. We'll see if with some TV magic here, we can get it done a little faster. And then you let it sit and congeal for just a second, and then we're gonna plate it up and eat it. So that's as easy as it looks. I don't know, 6 or so ingredients, 10 minutes, and it's gonna be delicious.
As easy as it can be. Let's get that in the
oven. All right, so I'm gonna pop this in the oven, and I think we're gonna head over to Leanne, and she's gonna take care of our next recipe. Beautiful.
Okay, so we are now going to switch over into a slightly different mode. We're gonna make the peanut butter and jelly granola bars. So these breakfast things, awesome to make in advance, but these could also be a dessert. These could be just a snack that you have around late night snack. And they're really made with, I was inspired by just like the most simple and cheap things that we tend to have around, like peanut butter and jelly and oats. Yeah. And we've all eaten a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We've all eaten many bowls of oatmeal, but when you combine their powers, you get something slightly different and exciting. So it's my thinking anyhow. So you have a bowl, just any mixing bowl, and we do 2 to 3 cups of oats. I'm going to do about 2.5 cups.
And I'll say, Leanne, you have that beautiful, if my eyesight from across the room looking at the screen looks great there, that's our Bob's Red Mill oats. But really, right, any kind of oats that you get at the grocery store could work for something like this, right?
Exactly what I was just going to say was they could be, I usually get like old fashioned, but you could do quick oats or like thicker cut is all totally fine. It'll all work. And so I'm doing 2.5 cups. Basically you need 3 cups total of this sort of dry ingredient portion. And then I like to basically take some cereals that I happen to have around when I do, or like other little bits of dried, and so it's slightly hilarious and embarrassing, but the only cereal that I have right now are these weird strawberry.
I love that.
Yeah, not a big cereal, right? This is what people actually have in their pantries at home.
Yeah, and I was just like, what? We have not eaten this in many months, so let's just try adding a little bit of this for fun. So I'm going to do about 1/2 cup of these flakes, just like for texture and for fun. Sure. And of course, these have sugar in them. If you're really wanting to stay away from that, do not go here, but this could be Cheerios, this could be like Raisin Bran, this could be
Chex. I'm trying to think of our other good whole grain cereals. Yeah, but the Raisin Bran's a great idea.
I like the Raisin Bran idea, yeah.
Raisin Bran is great.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what we've got so far, just simple. And then we're going to add a little bit of salt. I think it's 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. the recipe says. And then that is it. And then again, so I don't have a lot going on here. I found some almonds earlier, so I'm gonna just add a little bit of almonds, but you could add like coconut, cranberries, like anything you would add in granola, you could add into this if you want, or keep it very, very simple and plain. But this is sort of our dry ingredient portion. Oh, I should have mentioned, set your oven to 350 just before this, because this is going to bake.
Great. Yeah, I like how flexible this is. Oh, whatever nuts you have, whatever cereal you have, or make it complicated, or don't. You know,
the nice part about all those ingredients, right, is the things that we know are naturally going to be good for us, right? Of course, you know, between the oats and you know, and our nuts in there, and whatever cereal potentially, we're getting a lot of fiber from that, which of course we will talk until we're blue in the face about fiber. Looking off camera at our medical panel here to make sure I stay on script when talking about fiber. We love fiber.
Love fiber.
But then, of course, you know, when we get to something like the nuts in there, especially if we did something like walnuts, we get those heart-healthy fats in there, which we love. Helps reduce inflammation a little bit. Also a very important factor for reducing our overall cancer risk.
Right.
Dried fruit adds a little bit of sweetness, but without adding a lot of added sugar. Right. There's some naturally occurring sugar in there,
but it comes with the fiber.
Yeah, again, comes with the fiber. You're going to hear us say fiber, I think, a lot.
If that's what you remember, that's key. The more fiber.
Yeah. Wonderful.
What you got going on over there? Is that peanut butter?
I am measuring out a half a cup of peanut butter. So now this is the key ingredient, peanut butter and jelly. So we're going to put half a cup of it into this little pot. This is like not 100% necessary. I just find it really helpful. So we're doing a half a cup of peanut butter, then a quarter cup of water, of like hot water that's boiling if you want, but I'm just going to use tap water right now.
Thin it out a little bit.
A quarter cup of water, and then a quarter cup of jelly. And I'm going to just put it quickly on the stove top over here, which I can't quite show you, but I'm just going to put it on there and mix it all together. I'll show you that in a moment.
What kind of jelly are you going to use?
Black currant.
Yum.
Oh, all right.
Yum.
Fantastic. But again, any kind of jelly would work, right?
Absolutely anything. And people make this with, this is one of the most popular recipes in the book, as far as I can tell. You know, it's always hard to say, but it's the one people talk to me about so much. There are just so many infinite variations. And a lot of people like to make this with their kids because they can just learn how to make it. Right. It's simple that they can just make it themselves, and then they have like their own version. And, you know, you get the opportunity to kind of like branch out and try some new flavors in a like low stakes kind of situation.
Yeah.
Really, that is something that people talk about, right? If they want to change how they're eating, they want to eat healthier, but in their brain, I think people immediately perceive that to mean, well, it's going to be more expensive, right?
Yeah.
There are these ingredients that
won't be as fun. Like all those worries come up. Right. So many worries. And really, the good news is it's actually quite simple. It's just about simplification more than anything else, actually eating healthy and going towards what actually not only tastes good, but also makes you feel good, because we forget about like how foods that are really nutritious for us make us actually feel better. You don't need to like feel exhausted and full at the end of every, like full in an unpleasant way, but to actually feel energized after you eat, you know?
What a concept.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like even tying it to like sentimental value, as you're talking about this, I'm thinking I would want to use strawberry jam because my mom used to make strawberry jam, you know, every June after we would go and pick them. And, you know, there's nothing like my mom's strawberry freezer jam. And so, you know, I think people are naturally tied to recipes like this from their childhood too. It has some sentimental value in addition to making you feel good.
Yeah, and making it seasonal too. Like I love what you're saying, like, ooh, strawberry jam would be perfect for right now.
Right.
And that's one of the fun things when you start to get into cooking, really. And what is so empowering about it is getting to make little choices like that that just have meaning and value for you, that are beyond even the sort of nutrition even of them, but how they make you feel in touch with like nature and experiences you've had in the past and with different people, and all the beauty of that.
And I think empowering is a great word for this, right? It's what we try to instill with the patients in the teaching kitchen. It's what we try to instill with the trainees, you know, med students, PA students, residents, that this is something that you can do.
You can do this,
and you can teach other people to do, you know, and it can be enjoyable and fun. Exactly. Yeah, right.
Good news is like we're not asking you to do something boring and annoying. We're asking you to do something that's going to enhance your life,
and you get a reward at the end. You get to eat. That's the best part.
Right. So I have here, I'm just bit of an awkward angle, but I have this lovely gloop, as we call it.
Yeah.
Very official term. I hope you appreciate it. But the peanut butter and jelly mixed together, which looks a bit, suspect, but come on, we know what this is. This is our wonderful familiar stuff. So we have peanut butter and jelly going in here. And it smells really, really nice. And officially, it's a very important part of the recipe that you stop and enjoy, that it smells really good.
Yeah.
And feels really good. All of this is so, so important for us to create a good, healthy sort of practice of cooking, is just to actually stop and relax for a moment in the midst of it and realize like, wow, I'm actually having a good time right now.
I love that. Sometimes we just need to get food on the table, but other times I think it's a great reminder, slow down a little bit, enjoy what you're doing. Totally appreciate how good your kitchen's going to smell while you're cooking.
And here's honestly my potentially unpopular opinion, but I think it's the truth. Rushing to get it on the table doesn't usually actually save you any time. It just
it's probably true.
The only thing you gain is stress. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to be in a flurry of a headspace, and you're not going to remember where you put anything.
So it's like once you're in, just deep breaths, slow yourself down.
Yeah.
You got it.
There's a reason in restaurants, the reason that your food can get out to you so quickly when you go out to eat is because they've paid someone to come in at 6 in the morning and chop all the vegetables.
Yep.
So that when the chefs come in, right, they can just pull all their ingredients.
So
if we all had someone like that at home, Beautiful little baking sheet there. Sorry, I'm talking over you as you're.
No problem. I just want to make sure everyone sees the steps. So I've mixed everything, the dry ingredients and the peanut butter and jelly mixture. I'm just going to put in this pan. Oh, I forgot. I need to oil the pan. I'm just going to take a little bit of coconut oil here, but you could use anything. I like unrefined coconut oil, but you could use olive oil, butter, margarine, all the usual stuff. Just do oil the pan so that it can come out. And people have made these in muffin tins, in all kinds of sizes of tin, whatever you have around.
I like that idea.
Actually, the muffin tin's great.
I was just thinking about
Yeah,
that.
right?
Poppable form factor for kids, which we would love, right?
Like a mini muffin tin.
And they'll bake quicker too, I would imagine, in the muffin tin.
They do really quick, and then they have nice crispy edges, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that one I was like, wow, upgrade. Whoever thought of this?
Like next edition, yeah.
Better than mine.
It's great when you can learn something from people who are making these recipes, right? That is the other great benefit of sharing food with people, is that you get to hear their experiences, right? There's this nice natural exchange of information of the flavors that we like and everything. But then, yeah, of course, good cooking tips too.
Yeah, absolutely. So that looks fun to press in there.
Last thing is then we take that extra half cup of jelly and we smooth it all over the top. So you've got like jelly all over everything. And then I'm going to hit it into the oven. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. All right. I think while you are getting that into the oven, I will get started on my recipe, and then I think we'll probably do a little bouncing back and forth. So I am making these half veggie burgers, which, if we're talking about things that are like comfort food people, right? A cheeseburger. If you eat meat, a cheeseburger is that food where you're just like, sometimes you just want it, right? And as with most things in life, everything in moderation. On the regular, I think in the United States, we tend to be very meat-centric with our eating. And of course, we want to increase our vegetable consumption, but we're also trying to cut down on our meat consumption, especially the red meat consumption. We know it's pretty closely associated with increased risk of cancer, especially our colorectal cancer.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we are making a burger that does still have red meat in it. You could make it with turkey or chicken, of course, but we're going to add a lot of veggies as well as some legumes in there. So first, though, we will talk about the actual vegetables that we're adding here. So into our burger, we are looking to add about a cup of vegetables. Great recommendation from Leanne. Red bell pepper. It cooks quickly. It's tender, and we kind of naturally associate it with the flavors of a burger anyway. I always like to start by taking off the bottom. That way I can stand up my bell pepper tall, which makes it really easy to, I'll kind of see if I can do this near the camera. You can then kind of treat this like walls of a house, and you can use that seed pod in the middle for a guide for how far in to move your knife. And so you can cut right down to the side there. Look at that. Totally miss that seed pod, and I get these nice planks of bell pepper here, because the worst part about cutting a bell pepper is ending up with seeds all over your cutting board. And then I can kind of just rotate this around. It'll get to a point where it's easier to lay it down to come around here. And then of course you can even, right, sometimes it just comes off for you, right? That seed pod now nice in the middle here. Don't have to worry about seeds all over my cutting board. I got these nice planks of bell pepper that I want these to be chopped pretty small. I don't want a giant piece of bell pepper in my burger. So as small as you feel comfortable doing, we will cut into strips in one direction, or a julienne, right? That's
this kid went to culinary school.
Yes. Hey, so did you, all right? And then we turn it the other direction and we'll come across, and you can really do a very fine dice on these bell pepper. And I think we'd like to talk about it in class. Again, we like to just talk about it with people in general. Love to harp on the knife skills. But at the end of the day, throw these veggies in a food processor. Make your life way easier, right? Because if that's the thing that's going to get you to increase your veggie consumption, that's what we're going to do. Do not always expect people to spend, the time in the kitchen to do this. Again, especially on a busy weeknight. There is a time and a place to be fancy, and there is definitely a time and a place to be efficient as well.
Certainly.
So, getting these nice strips of our bell pepper here. I will probably use just about the entire bell pepper because I'm aiming for about a cup of vegetables. So I got my nice little pile here. And then let's do one more piece here to get a little bit closer. But then we had some other veggies. So much like how we were rummaging through the fridge here at the teaching kitchen and we found some parsley that needed to get used, found some green onion that needed to be used as well. And so we thought, why not? It's going to go great into this burger. Again, onion, a flavor that we kind of naturally associate with that.
Right.
Could throw a red or a white onion in there, but we got the green onion, so we may as well use it. So I got my pile of bell pepper off here to the side, and then I got my green onion or my scallions. Always like to take off the top end here, just because they kind of get dried out and sad first, right? So we can set those off to the side, but then I can use the entire length of this thing until basically it gets to the pure white part. And I'm going to cut these about as thin as I did my bell pepper. So again, I'm doing it towards the camera so that y'all can see. Chop into very fine pieces here, right? Moving our way down.
Impressive or what?
All right. I'm really locked in right now. I don't want to accidentally nick my fingers here.
Tip of his knife is staying on the cutting board.
Again, those fingers curled into the claw there. Because we want to build
safety first.
Yeah, we want to build some safety, and with safety comes confidence.
That's right.
I think. So we get our veggies there, and then, this is, it's a good little start, I think, to making these kind of half veggie burgers. But then, of course, we're going to throw in a secret ingredient here. I got some lentils, and I got a very small bowl of lentils here, but that's because actually I have 3 cups of cooked lentils here. I mean, if we tilt this in. So these, I cooked them on the stovetop in advance. It took about 25 minutes to get done. There we go. Beautiful. Got our nice lentils here. So that is going to be the base. That is actually the bulk of our burger here. And then I am going to throw in my nice chopped veggies as well. And add some lovely color.
That looks excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So right off the bat, we're already happy that we're getting some color in there. We love the expression "eat the rainbow." Talk about getting a variety of veggies in, and that's something that you were talking about.
I was going to say, yeah, we know for your gut microbiome that, of course, the quantity of vegetables and fruits and other plants that you eat is important, but one of the most important things is actually the variety. So if you can eat 20 to 30 different plants per week, that might be a goal to really have a nice diversity of gut bacteria, which really can support colon health.
So now you said a variety of plants, not necessarily fruits and vegetables. So what are some other things that we can eat? And Leanne, if you got favorite plants, throw them out while we're doing this.
Yeah, so fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and legumes, which are like our beans or our lentils here. So lots of different types of plants. Yeah.
While Nate was talking there, I did throw, so I have a pound of ground beef in here, and this is a pretty lean one. This is 93.7, so 93% meat, 7% fat.
The ground sirloin.
Yeah, just your regular your ground beef that you get at the grocery store. Some salt and some pepper in there, and then I did throw an egg into here just to kind of act as a little bit of a binder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing this by hand, and then I think I might transition to doing it with a masher. And this will admittedly not be the prettiest thing to look at on camera for too long. So we can always pull back out a little bit. But I'm really trying to get these into almost kind of like you're working meatballs or a meatloaf together. Like I want this to be a nice congealed. I couldn't think of a more attractive word than congealed. Cohesive. Much better word than that. So I'm gonna go wash my hands real quick. I'm gonna grab a masher just to get these lentils a little bit more mash. But of course, in the end, you in the recipe talk about you could do beans instead of lentils.
Yeah, it depends on what you have. Those lentils, though, yeah, you for sure want to try to get a little mash in there so that it doesn't all start falling apart.
Yeah, kind of these lentils or the beans, they have that little exterior coating, and then inside it's all this starchy goodness that will help really bind things together.
Exactly.
And so that's why he's going to do some mash here.
And I think my head would immediately head towards black beans, but really any kind of legume in here, right, would be great.
Yeah.
But you can be inspired by that. Like if you do black beans, you'd be like, ooh, I need to have some onion and some pepper and some corn,
Yeah, that's an excellent point, actually. Yeah, right. The different types of beans
burgers.
can kind of inform what you're doing. That's actually kind of led me to, I'm going to dress this with some toppings that we also just had in the fridge here that needed to be used.
You could really Frenchy with that one and be like, lots of olives.
Oh, yeah. A nice olive tapenade.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Then I feel like we're getting outside of the scope of what we could accomplish in an hour here, but it would be absolutely delicious. So yeah, I'm going to keep working these. And then we will come back in a couple minutes for when I'm ready to cook these. But Leanne, are you ready to go on your other recipe?
Yogurt. So this is sort of a funny one to be called a recipe in some ways, because it's really just saying you can have fun making your own yogurt rather than buying. Sorry, somebody is just buzzing my apartment door. If you heard that dinging, nothing to worry about. Worries. Basically, you can get like key lime cheesecake yogurt, or you can make your own at home. And it's a lot more fun to make your own at home, in my opinion. So basically, get yourself a thing of plain yogurt. And then find some stuff that you want to put in your yogurt. Today, I have strawberries.
Yum. Delicious. Very seasonal. We were just talking about that, right?
Exactly. Blueberries, much less seasonal, but I went for it anyway.
Yum.
Extremely, who knows what season we're talking about, pineapple and kiwi. Basically a bunch of fruit. And I could do anything with this. I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to grab some of the pineapple, actually, because that just seems exciting. And just speaking about, so this is sort of what I have around. We also have, I know it sounds weird, but peanut butter from earlier, peanut butter and jelly, a little scoop of jelly in your yogurt. It's like delicious, actually.
Yeah, I don't think that's weird at all. I think it sounds great.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like, oh, right, of course, that's basically what the flavored ones are already doing, but you're kind of taking your own choices, which is fun. And I have some maple syrup and lemon. So I was kind of just feeling like all these yellows are calling me to make a pineapple lemon blackcurrant jelly yogurt.
Oh my God. Fantastic.
Our mouths are watering.
Let's think, if we went to buy a little 4-pack of those yogurts, we would probably be looking at like $5 for 4 things of yogurt, probably even more.
Some are like $5 each.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you go to a really bougie market, you will definitely be paying more. Versus, all those ingredients individually, yes, would cost more, but you already had all of it at home.
They're part of your diet. Yeah, exactly.
And that is the key, right? Because too often I think we say, all right, what are we going to make for dinner this week? Or I'm trying to figure out snacks that I'll be able to bring to work. And so it's like, well, I got to make a grocery list because I have to get all this new stuff. There is so much that you probably already have in your pantry that just with like a little creativity or having a recipe on hand that you kind of can reference will make all the difference, I think.
Absolutely. Getting into good habits with your cooking and just your pantry is just something to really put some effort toward, because it makes life so much easier in terms of cooking. If you have some habits where you're like, I always have some type of bean around, I always have rice, I always have pasta, I always have canned tomatoes. And because I have those basics, then I'm picking up some vegetables, some herbs, some fruit that's like on sale or more seasonal or whatever, but I know I always have sort of a way to make them, to add them into a quiche, to add them into this pasta dish, to, cook them on the side with fish and whatever it is. It's like, if you just have your go-tos, it simplifies things so much and allows you to then have more variety from like your plants, like you guys were suggesting.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
All right. And then, of course, the yogurt being full of healthy bacteria for our gut. So, thinking about these foods like that. So
Right.
we've all heard of this Activia with Jamie Lee Curtis, right? But it's any type of yogurt. Any type of yogurt has those healthy bacteria in them. So you're getting a nice big scoop of it over there.
So here I am adding my yogurt on top of my chopped up fruit and jam, and now I'm just going to mix it up.
Fantastic. So, I think yogurt people immediately think, well, breakfast, right? But I would be just as happy like eating this as a snack or even dessert,
Great
right?
snack.
But you just want that little bit of sweetness, without going crazy.
So here it is. I'm about to eat it.
I'm jealous. Yeah.
Yeah, jealous that we're not there.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. The jam is so good. It just immediately makes it feel a little decadent, like a little dessert.
And then did you say you added a little lemon juice there too?
Yes.
So cool. Yeah. So the sweetness, but then the kind of fresh, tangy, citrusy lemon juice too. How delicious. Yeah.
Well, and you have to, when you use fresh lemon, you always have to smell it first.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, love it.
Very, very important.
And talk about enjoying the aromas and the sensations of the food, right? Immediately get right in there. And it's going to make your kitchen smell fantastic right away. All righty. I can smell your quiche in the oven. It smells fantastic.
Nice.
So Corinne, if we want to pop back over to my cutting board, just so I can show that I formed everything into these lovely little patties here. So I got 8 patties out of a pound of ground beef. So that means that these each have about 2 ounces of meat in it. Now the recommended serving if you're going to eat animal proteins is to be around 3 or 4 ounces. So we're a little bit below that.
Half veggie burgers.
But not skimping on the protein, mostly from the lentils that we added into there, right? Really going to increase, help us. We feel like people really stress about the protein.
Yeah.
You are not going to be lacking in protein if you eat more plants, as long as you know where you can get some protein from. So again, the whole grains, and the legumes.
Yep.
Great sources of protein.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to cook up probably 1 or 2 of these. So if we come over to the stove top, we do have a little non-stick pan going here. It's mostly because I didn't want burgers to stick on camera and be all embarrassed. But any side skillet would work. Or, we're getting into the warmer weather. You could grill these burgers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and take one of those. I'm going to get it down. If I hear some sizzle.
Oh, yeah. I can hear it.
Yeah. I can hear it. You can hear it. I don't know if everyone online can hear it. And I'm just going to let this cook for a couple minutes. It's really not going to take very long.
While we're letting that,
just until it's brown.
I was going to say, you're going to let that brown a little bit. We have a question in the chat. Can the lentils instead go into a food processor and then mix them in with the veggies and the meat?
I don't see why not. Right, Leanne, this is your recipe, so chime in, please.
Yeah, grind them up a little bit.
Oh, and with those burgers, it's also nice it's fine if you're doing them like to go, but if you're doing them ahead of time, it's nice if you wrap them in plastic and like have them in the fridge for a day, they're like set up really nice for
great
cooking.
idea.
And so sometimes it's like if you're making 8 and you only need 4 because that's what your family needs that night, you can put the rest aside and they'll be like ready to go. And you can freeze them that way too. Let them come to room temperature and cook them.
I love that idea. Yeah, assemble them once and then you get lots of meals out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, you could freeze these as well, right, Leanne? No reason you couldn't. No reason you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Great. I'm gonna set the rest of these aside. Perhaps I will. Actually, Nate, you want to stick these in the fridge behind you?
Sure, yeah.
I'll either cook them off or I'll freeze them, and we'll have meals for days. And then, so I got this bread on the stovetop here. I'm just gonna talk a little bit kind of about what we are gonna plate our burger on. So in terms of talking about the different kind of flavors, right? Where could we go with these burgers? We had, of course, some cheddar cheese around for the quiche, but we actually also had a little bit of feta cheese that needed to get used up. And something about vegetables makes me lean towards feta cheese, something that's got a lot of flavor to it. But you can actually use a smaller amount because it's so flavorful.
Yeah.
And so for on my base here, I'm gonna do a little bit of some mixed greens. Also had these in the fridge. Probably only had about another day or 2 in them. Was not planning on making a salad. So I get my nice base on there. Lest I not talk about what
is the base?
The bun, which is a whole wheat burger bun.
Cool.
And I really like doing whole wheat burger buns and wraps. Honestly, sometimes more than I like doing whole wheat bread. Whole wheat bread, I don't know, Leanne, if you have a great brand to shout out, maybe. But sometimes I feel like they turn out.
I make.
Sorry?
My own that I make is the only.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
So
that's the
you're
answer.
gonna send everyone who's joined us some bread, right? It's sometimes though the store-bought ones, they turn out very dense. Versus like I feel like the buns and the wraps are a little bit more palatable, but they
They're
still
light.
have the fiber in there, which again, we keep talking about fiber. Corinne, if we want to come over to the stove here just to see, getting some nice browning on our burger there. I'm gonna flip that over.
Yeah.
Beautiful, some nice color on there. And now that I have flipped it, I'm actually gonna add the feta cheese now, so that little bit of heat just kind of melts that cheese a little. Again, right? You could do a regular old slice of cheese, nothing wrong with that. But I do like the nice tanginess that the feta brings. We try to move towards a more.
I appreciate the tanginess. I feel like you're really on the right track.
Yeah, and you
ill or something.
We talk about trying to increase our consumption of fermented foods a lot, and for that we usually do think of yogurt and then like really fermented stuff like kimchi. But cheese is a fermented food.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just going to cover this with a little bit of foil just to promote a little bit of melting on that cheese there. It's not going to get ever super melty like an American cheese, but just that little bit of steam that's going to get trapped in there.
Yep.
And honestly, the nice part is too, this burger cooks quicker than a regular meat burger, because a regular meat burger, 100% meat, we're trying to get it to a higher internal temperature, but the lentils are already cooked.
They're already cooked.
So really, once we get that nice browning, we can of course always cook to our desired level of rare to well.
Right.
But I think like 2 or 3 minutes on each side here is definitely sufficient.
Yeah. And Leanne, folks are wondering if these burgers will hold up on the grill. What do you think?
They will, but I would say don't make them fresh. Like let them sit in the fridge for like 20 minutes, at least, just to get more solidly together, because they do get a little crumbly. But also, if you're worried about that, just use like beans and do that mashing thing. Like just make sure if it's really well mashed up, it'll be totally fine. It's just when you're sort of being loosey goosey with the lentils, then they get a bit more falling apart, which is kind of fun too. But
yeah, right.
Or vice versa, Leanne. What do you think in a like hot oven on like a wire rack, or even just on parchment paper?
Oh,
like
yeah,
if you were really trying to do these in bulk, do you think that would work?
Yeah, that would work great. Yeah, and that would be very simple. Yeah, on a wire rack in the oven.
So let's see here, Corinne. We can see the reveal. Oh, a little bit of color actually developed on the cheese there. Just like that nice heat coming off the top. And all I'm going to do is transfer it right over to my bun here. Don't mind my finger. Get that right onto that nice bed of greens. We do the greens on the bottom because heat rises. So if we did if we did our greens on top, it would wilt quicker.
Makes sense.
That is again, one of those useless tricks that you pick up on. All we're gonna do is
useful.
I agree.
Useless in my brain because it's taking up room. It's taking up room in my brain.
Look beautiful that is. That would be $25 in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Let's sit for 1 minute before I try to cut and do a cross section.
You're gonna what?
Before I try to cut and do a cross section, I will let it sit.
Let it sit. I think that's
smart for a minute. Fantastic. All right, we're a couple minutes after 7, so I think we're good on time. How is the
I was going to say, I'm going to keep a peek on this, and you have your bars in the oven too, right?
They are. They are still 5 minutes out, but I take them out.
We had a kind of an interesting question that I have to admit I don't know the answer to. Someone was wondering if instead of baking them, if you could just refrigerate it overnight and then kind of do like a no-bake version. What do you think?
That's a good question, because I mean, of course people do overnight. I'm just not sure that it would have. You could do an overnight oats like with peanut butter and jelly. I think that's a great idea, but you'd want to add more moisture in there. Like I think you would want to add a milk or a nut milk in there and then do it overnight oats style. Actually, I feel like
because the oats would absorb the liquid. That's kind of where my head is at.
Yeah, because it works really well to like, and they're very palatable when you add enough liquid. It's just like if it was just like dried, stuck together. Like I don't think there's enough liquid in the recipe currently, so just need to use your best judgment there. Yep. But you could make like basically any overnight oats recipe online. There's a million of them. It's just a very simple formula, and add in like the peanut butter and jelly basically, and some type of a milk, nut milk.
Yep,
or do chia seeds is the like classic way. Half chia seed and half oats, and then you get all your good stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be delicious. I have to tell you, I'm pulling out this quiche.
Yeah, pardon me and Nate freaking out while you were talking about great stuff. Just the quiche looks lovely.
It
So
looks so good. It looks so good. It got really
It's
nice
so
and
fun
browned
how
up.
good it looks and like how easy it was for you to make. Like how
Look,
quick that was.
look at that. That brownage is like
gotta get these
ideal.
pans out of the way so we can really appreciate
Oh,
it.
how nice. Okay, great. That's going to be delicious. Okay, great. So we got our quiche. You got to enjoy the yogurt smash. I'm still jealous about that. We're letting our burger sit here
I
for a minute.
really enjoyed it, if that makes you feel any better. Like,
It really does.
It does.
It does. And then again, keep the questions coming in the chat. We're more than happy to answer those. And then if there's more questions kind of about the connection between these recipes and the prevention of colon cancer and the support of gut and colorectal health, we're happy to answer those too. But it really does come down to the fiber. I feel like repeatedly, all these different types of fiber, whether it's soluble and insoluble, we're talking about the different types of plants. This keeps things moving, of course, through your digestive tract, but it also supports those healthy gut bacteria that really keep your lining intact and are just really healthy for keeping the
And
gut.
it helps
good.
keep you regular. I
Yes.
mean, that is an important factor.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And you know, we can talk a lot about, you know, how much fiber we should be aiming for in the day, but I think Michelle, you had said it before, right? Just like eat more vegetables,
Right.
And you will do a good job of getting on your way to that goal. Actually, do y'all wanna come back up here in case there's any questions or if there's anything else you wanted to touch on, just because we are kind of getting towards the end.
I think
here.
so.
Yeah.
I think so. Absolutely. Yeah.
These all look delicious.
Yes. We're excited to share them. Yeah.
no, I
And
wish
the best
you guys
part
could
about
see my
the best
kitchen.
part about doing these with us is that you get to eat. So beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, eating the rainbow was such a good way to start, and just trying to add color to your plate every day, whether it's fruits or vegetables or, you know, herbs. If you're a gardener over the summer, if you have the opportunity to do that, just adding little bits of color here and there can really add up throughout the day. And even just, you know, being mindful for a day or two and keeping track of how much fiber you're eating and what your average foods are, and their fiber content. There are certainly, when I did that exercise, I learned a lot of foods that I thought had a lot of fiber in it actually didn't.
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing a great job. And when I tallied at the end of the day, I was a little bit short. So I too have made some modifications.
I feel like I often don't hit my fiber goal. It's something like what 95% of people don't. So we can all stand to eat some more fiber.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think for people who are looking to add fiber in their diet, you want to do it gradually. If you go from eating 0 grams of fiber a day to 30 grams all at once, you're probably not going to feel very good. So, you know, just trying to add it maybe to 1 meal a day and then build it up to 2, or, you know, kind of sprinkling it in to start so you don't overwhelm your system and get turned off all the way.
Yeah, that's great advice. Great
That
advice.
was really good advice.
For fiber, so just talking about numbers, because sort of like I always joke, it's like the calories at Starbucks on the scones. Once you know the numbers, it makes it a lot easier to hit the goal or avoid things. It was a life-changing moment for me. So for fiber, women, most grown adults need about 25 grams of fiber for women, 38 for men. And anyone who comes to my clinic gets inundated with handouts on fiber. There are free apps out there that can go on any phone for people who are inclined, and you can Google online lists of things, but getting that fiber in there is really, sometimes when you actually look at it, I myself recently did an audit and was surprised, thinking I was getting enough fiber and realizing I wasn't. And then simple changes of foods I actually liked and just didn't realize how much just adding a little bit of that could totally change things. So I think it's easier than you think, but having a target in mind and looking online for some help with like lists of fruits and vegetables, or coming to see us or coming to the teaching kitchen, and we can get you started with that. On a serious note, March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And so one of the things that we're all wearing our don't press your luck, get screened for, is to remind people that one part is eating well. And that's something that we wanted to emphasize is something that you can take into your own hands to reduce your risk. But the other thing you can do to reduce your risk is actually get screened. And so as you may have heard, sometime around the time of the start of the pandemic, we actually changed the screening age for your first colonoscopy. And it went from the age of 50 down to 45. And the reason for that is that we found out that there's actually a very real increase in younger Americans having colon cancer. And that rate is actually higher than those over the age of 50. Oh, wow. So as a result of that, that's really an important thing. And some people are like, I don't want to have a colonoscopy. Well, there's a lot of other non-invasive tests that you can do that can stand in line. So you might see those ads for Cologuard on TV. That's fine. That's one way to get screened. go call a GI doctor, get a colonoscopy. Your primary care can give you a whole list of different recommendations that you can do, but choose to get screened, because when you get screened, you can find something early. When you find something early, it might just be as simple as a polyp getting removed in a colonoscopy. That polyp could turn into a cancer someday, but having the colonoscopy and having that polyp removed, that's it. It's like having the weed guy come out and spray your lawn. You're good.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
So, I think these are things to remember. They're not scary. They're actually, it's like getting your teeth cleaned at the dentist, but it's really important in this country. So have some good food and get screened. Tell a loved one.
We like that. We like that message.
Yes, yes, that's a good one. All right. Okay, well, I kind of want to eat some of these things.
Yeah. Any other questions in the chat or anything?
They're wanting to know where they can purchase your cookbook, Leanne.
Oh, this is the best part.
Everywhere books are sold, Amazon, of course, being probably the most straightforward. But yes, and books are sold. Yeah.
Love it. Beautiful. And it's in English and in Spanish. Is that right?
It is, yes. Good and cheap or bluntly barato.
Love it. Love it.
Fantastic.
Great. All right. And then you probably have a couple minutes left on your bars over there. Is that right?
They're actually out of the oven, but
great.
Let's see them.
not yet, but I can show you the results.
Lovely.
Those look so good. It's a beautiful picture in the book,
How
too.
long would you recommend letting those rest for before you cut them?
I mean, it's always a good idea, like 10, 15 minutes sort of minimum, to be honest. But like I can get one out for fun for us right now.
Only if you think it'll look good. It's all good.
It's best to test at all stages of the process.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All righty. Yeah, I mean, so again, just a quick recap of our recipes here. So of course we got the beautiful crustless quiche. So those onions on the bottom, I'm sure at this point are super caramelized. So excited. A lot of broccoli in there, the eggs, the cheese. So of course that's going to be like a fiber bomb and really flavorful. And then the burger, of course, between the whole wheat bun and all the lentils in there and those veggies that we threw in there as well. A ton of fiber. A nice, all things considered, a pretty lean source of protein. And going back, we didn't even really talk about the affordability of it, right? If a pound of ground beef you can turn into 8 burgers, 2 ounces per burger, like you are stretching that way further than if you bought a pound of ground beef and just made burgers made out of meat. Like you're probably only getting, depending on how big you make them, 2 to 4 burgers, right? Even if you make quarter-pound burgers, you're only getting 4. And ground beef is expensive.
Yep, great way to stretch a buck.
Lentils are not. That's the best part, is that lentils are both good and cheap, right, Lee?
Yes, there we go.
And then that little bit of feta cheese on there for the flavor.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
Any final thoughts, Leanne?
Not really. I'm happy to be here. I could not get them out of the pan at the moment.
They're gonna rest. It'll be
I was
good.
like, no. You just have to believe me that they will be ready in a few minutes. This was so awesome to be here. I loved what Anne shared. She was basically talking about me, my life, exactly. I was one of those, I'm a young person who has a tendency towards that cancer, and I felt to find out that I had that and then know that I could just go and get the simple procedure was like I like cried when I was so grateful to realize that it was possible. I could talk to my sisters and sort of know that my family would be okay. Even though, it's something that like killed my dad, we could actually be prevented from even ever really having to experience any of the negative consequences is just like such a huge gift. And I just wish that for everybody else as well.
It's such a powerful story. We really appreciate you sharing that with us, and more than that, just sharing also the recipes with us and your time, and really appreciating the things you have consistently said about enjoying the cooking process, taking time to smell the roses or the lemons, and I think we're all going to learn a lot from that. So we really appreciate you being here. It means a lot.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Anything else to add?
No, just thank you all for joining us and
coming on this ride.
Yes, Mac, Nate, Leanne, thank you so much for the opportunity to share all this great meals.
Well, thank you for putting it together, and there's more to come, right?
Yes. So there are, the hope is to have more events in the future. So those that have registered, we will certainly send any further opportunities, classes along the emails, and then the recipes from tonight, as well as some additional recipes that are quick, easy, packable, pre-makeable, we will send as well. And those will have some really interesting, really meaningful facts about how those foods are good for your body, not just your colon. Even though I like to think the colon is the most important organ.
You're a little biased. Yeah.
It's the OG of body parts.
It's from others. So, well, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Awesome. Have a great night,
Thanks for
y'all.
joining.
Well,
All righty.